Hey, greetings everyone, and welcome to another episode of Checking In. I'm Leon Thomas with Miranda Kitterlin Lynch, and we're your host. Hi, Miranda. How are you?
I am awesome, Leon. How are you?
All is groovy. Everything is right on. Um, there's nothing like crazy to report. It's just been a smooth last few days since our last episode. All is good. What's going on?
You know what? A smooth last few days is great news. Like anytime I have a smooth day, I'll take it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm loving that.
Yeah, I am appreciating it. Now, we know that a few episodes ago we had our 100th episode, at least what we're calling our 100th episode. And so this is episode number,
102?
well, I think that's right, 102. That's right. Episode 102. Episode 101 was with, I can't even remember who. I know Travis Breen was on a previous episode that we just recorded a couple of days ago, and I can't remember who was after him. Who was Who else did we have? And we had for
I
number
have to say,
101.
I don't remember only because I feel like every episode and every guest is like amazing. They all
Yeah,
just blend together. Like
yeah,
it's all just one great experience for me.
right.
But
It
I guess
was yeah,
Ricky was an early guest when we just started the show. He joined us to share some things that he was doing, and now he's back, and I'm super excited because he's doing even more cool things.
yeah. We'll hear about those cool things. Let's bring him on now. Let's bring on Omari. Hi, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you all doing?
Doing
Amazing.
well.
Good to be back. Greatly appreciative that you all kept the show going, keeping it entertaining, keeping it interesting, and appreciate the service you're providing.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for making the time. You're a busy guy.
Just a little bit.
Before we jump into anything, for anyone who's not familiar, would you mind sharing with our listeners who you are and what you do?
They've definitely been living under a rock if they don't know me, so I'll be available for autographs immediately following. But good afternoon, greetings, Omari Head. I am the executive director for the Marriott-Sorenson Center for Hospitality Leadership, seated within Howard University. So I'm sure we'll get into a little bit about that, what the center is, what I do. But that is me. That is what I'm here to talk about, and excited to be here.
That's super exciting. I want to jump into it right now. Can you tell everybody what the center is and what they do? Again, I would think you'd have to be living under a rock not to have heard about the center, but just in case.
Sure. So with our center, it's a very revolutionary and unique approach to the hospitality industry. And why is that? We are a center and not a program. So meaning that we are interdisciplinary and non-degree granting. So a lot of people, they get excited because there was a legacy hospitality program situated at the university within the School of Business, where students did have hospitality degrees. And it's funny, one of my first mentors that I ever had at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, was actually the GM of the Howard Inn. Howard used to actually have a hotel on campus once upon a time. So it was, quite a notable hospitality program, but unfortunately got sunset probably about 12, 15 years ago. Somebody I'm sure will fact check me in the notes there. But so it's come back. We've come back now, hospitality to the university in the form of a center. So what we're doing is helping students understand what that intersection is between the degrees that they're pursuing and the hospitality industry. I firmly believe, and we all know as professionals, that there's so many spaces for folks in hospitality. It's not just hotels, restaurants, and if you're super sophisticated, a convention center, right? There's a lot more avenues. So our students are getting degrees in finance and marketing, and health sciences. We have students pursuing MBAs, JD MBAs, interior design, all of those places. There's a space for you in hospitality. So what we're servicing is these operational supporting roles, right? These may not be folks that are programmed to necessarily come out and be the next GM or SVP of operations, but We got students getting their degrees in supply chain management. So your next chief procurement officer, that student getting their degree in finance, that's going to be your next CFO. That is more so focused on those operational support, on those operational supporting roles at more of a leadership and senior leadership level. So very nuanced approach. And for those of you all who have been around the hospitality industry for a while, specifically in a recruiting capacity, what we've heard for so many years is that, hospitality students, they love talking to us, right? And I'm a hospitality student, so I can say this. High EQ, just super engaging folks, great on the soft skills, but they were like the hard skills, they need some work. And the running joke for so many years was like, oh, the hospitality students were business school students. They weren't that great at math. Depending, and now the funny thing is, depending on what university you're in, the hospitality program may sit in the School of Business, or it may not. Some places in like agricultural and family sciences and next to retail and some weird stuff. But what we're doing is addressing that need where it's like, okay, we heard the industry and this is our approach, right? Where you can get this general finance practitioner that has this understanding, that's going to be, engaged in the industry associations. It's going to have the industry certifications, but they are still at their core a finance professional, right? So you will have to teach them a little bit more on the KPIs, but all those other attributes they get. And what we know for a fact is that in this industry, and once you ascend to a certain level and in certain capacities, those individuals are vertical agnostic, right? There's somebody that does procurement, and you would buy cups for Macy's just like you would Marriott, or you would buy, furniture for the Omni Hotel just like you would, any other retailer. So they kind of don't care. They kind of come in and say, what's the KPIs? Human capital, the same thing. We see if people moving around, it's just like, well, you were SVP of HR for General Motors, and now we see you over here at this contract food service provider. Well, to them, it's just human capital industry. So we're helping our students understand what that intersection is. So for example, that student that's the JD MBA, they're interested in potentially being like a chief legal officer for a major hotel brand. So that's a little bit about our approach, the genesis behind it, and the thoughtfulness that goes into how we're curating the content surrounding that.
I think that is such a valuable gap to fill. And we've seen guests on our show come in and say, this was my journey. This was my career path. It had nothing to do with hospitality, and now it did. Or maybe they started in hospitality and moved on to something else. So that vertical agnostic, I think, is a perfect term. Sorry, Leon, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I've experienced when I used to go out to talk to high school students, and even high school counselors, right? When I worked in the business on property and at the corporate level, one of the things I would hear is there's no value in anyone knowing anything about the hotel business, because all you're going to do is check them in, check them out, clean a room, fix a room, or maybe serve a drink. That's all you're going to do. And I'm like, no, there's so much more. And it was such a challenge to get folks to understand that there's so many aspects, so many other things that can be done in our business, just like you just outlined. You're purchasing cups, right? You can do that in the hospitality industry, right? Finance, right? How do we get folks to understand that? I know that at Howard and some other HBCUs, centers like this are doing it, but how do folks that really aren't connected to Howard, like me, right? Although I'm close to Howard, and we're going to talk about how you and I can come together and at least get you on the racquetball court, but that's another part of the conversation that we'll get later. But how do those of us, how do we get people to understand? Give me some tips on how do we get folks to understand that there's so much more in hospitality and hotels.
Yeah, great question, Leon. And a big piece of it is exposure. And we have to properly and strategically sell the success of the industry. So it's the industry, part of we're suffering from our own success story. And a little bit of that is, what I mean by that is that it is an industry where you can work your way up from a bell person all the way up to a vice president of, a regional vice president of operations potentially, and may not have formal education. That is a true success story for building wealth, for building, just fiscal capacity. However, that's also a challenge to a student pursuing a degree, because what happens is that if you're so for example, and I've taught hospitality at the community college level, at the undergraduate level, and at the graduate level. My rule is when I brought in guest speakers, you had to have at least one degree in hospitality. At least one degree in hospitality. And why is that? I'm going to have you talk to my students, and we're selling them, for lack of better terms, a hospitality degree, and we're bringing in professionals that don't have that background. They can't necessarily talk about what that looks like, because we're an industry, because it's kind of like enterprise. We'll pick you up, right? Like you, regardless of what your degree is or no degree, you can navigate pretty successfully and pretty highly. So how do we, because that on-ramp is so wide, that tends to be a challenge in certain capacities. Now, at certain levels, now there are leaders that are selling, like, I started, working my way up. Well, you were a dishwasher while you were at Wharton. Like, I saw Google, and that's okay. Like you went the B school route and you're a pure finance professional, but that's where you're at the C-suite level. That is what we're helping our students understand, is that there are multiple paths to get to these senior leadership roles. And a lot of it resides within the intersectionality of understanding, how do you apply that health sciences degree, that environmental science degree, to the hospitality industry. And there's a space there. So like you said, Leon, our industry hasn't done the best job at helping folks really unlock that. If you ask the average individual what tourism is, they're thinking somebody in a safari hat or somebody on a double-decker bus, right? Like, for whatever reason, that's immediately what comes to mind, is a tour guide. You don't understand the Convention and Visitors Bureau. That's close. That's close. That's not even given with, you need like the Lego, the hard hat, the borderline helmet demonstration. But yeah, that's what people think of, right? They think of a tour guide, and that's an important piece of it. But there's also somebody that's running a Convention and Visitors Bureau. There's some economics behind that. Like, tourism is classified as an export in GDP. We have to help students understand that. We have to help parents understand that too, right? Because you also have to remember, a student may be going to or a potential student may be going to their parents saying, hey, I want to major in this, but we haven't necessarily fully educated the parent in the household, because there are some parents out there that's like, hey, I'm not going to pay for this degree. I'm not endorsing this because of what they think that is associated, or what they think that it leads to. And they don't understand that there are some great, well-paying careers that are out here that are available. If you look at the Army, I think it was the Army, but it was some military branch a few years ago. They ran this great campaign, and it was somebody who was at the table and was like, hey, mom, I'm interested in the military, and there's the pamphlet, but let me talk to you about all these jobs, because it was basically trying to sell parents and convert them into evangelists, or being comfortable with their student, with their seed going into the military, right? So we have less of a hard uphill battle. We're not selling you on that. It's a top employer in most municipalities, right? Helping people understand all the economics behind that, and the career trajectory. That is what we need to do a better job with. That is what we're doing here at the center, because even the students here, they think that they may want to go and work at, they say, hey, I'm interested in real estate. Well, guess what? Hotels are an operating business and a franchise model situated on real estate. There are real estate investment trusts that specifically operated in hospitality. Our center has a vertical that's focused on real estate and investing. We also have a chapter of HFTP. We would help you get the certification for USALI, which is industry. That, coupled with your Howard University degree in finance, makes you a strong candidate to go work in a REIT.
That's absolutely fantastic. And I am one of those people who started my degree in hospitality, and my mother hit the roof, like lost her mind, because I was supposed to be a doctor. And then a decade later, I get to say, Mom, I became a doctor, just not the right one. So talk to me. we know that hospitality leadership is evolving constantly, and it is evolving now more quickly than ever. What do you think is one thing that this next generation of leaders needs to unlearn? What's something you think we need to clear from?
Ooh. Wow. There's so many things. What the next generation needs to unlearn. I think it's, and maybe I would ask a different question, which is, what is the current generation of senior leaders, specifically director and above, need to unlearn? Because the newer generation is coming in with very different mindsets, and very different exposures and very different realities, right? So, and I'll try my best to answer both. I would say what the current generation of leadership needs to unlearn is that people just have different, learning styles, modalities, right? There are folks that are neurodivergent. They just learn, they receive, they process significantly different than you may. And helping them and helping you understand how to lead and coach appropriately to the individual. And some leaders do not have that capacity, right? And I understand that, like, that is a gift. Some people, it is my way or the highway. This is the way, instead of looking at policies and procedures and saying, well, can we accommodate for this individual? So, or accommodate for the desired result. What our industry has shown is that we can pivot, right? It was so many expressions. Oh, big ship to turn. Such a complex organization. COVID hit, we changed everything immediately. Hey, you know what? You don't have to do this, do that. You could do this instead. We're no longer serving breakfast. We're not doing daily housekeeping. There was pretty immediate results, right? Which is why I would always push back when the conversation came up about equity and inclusion. They would be like, big ship to turn. It's just like, I've actually watched a ship turn. I watch a cruise ship turn. It doesn't take that long, right? So if you have the desire to work through it, what does the incoming generation need to unlearn? I think it's too early to tell. That's one of those things like time will tell, because we may think that they need to unlearn something, when in reality it could just be that the current leadership needs to learn it, because it's not harmful information. As an industry, we do need to, I think we've unlearned a lot, right? We've unlearned some of the rigid surroundings that we had around luxury, right? We've unlearned some of the rigid surroundings that we had around grooming policy, specifically in luxury, right? There was growth. I remember interviewing for a luxury hotel company and being told, like, yes, you can't have facial hair, right? That was once upon a time. Visible tattoos, all those different type of things. Yes, like luxury has shifted, because now we're looking at lifestyle, right? So I think that what the biggest thing is, we need to unlearn how long it takes us to unlearn something, and understand that change management is a whole, like, people have PhDs in it. There's numerous theories around it, and that change management is a very real process, and you need to learn how to expedite that within reason, right? Because you also have to say there's change management and then there's culture. And are we willing to endure a culture shift to meet changes in society? Some people say yes, right? And that's where you have very few restaurants require jackets now. And there's some say no, like, we're an institution and we stand on that business and we stand on it proudly. And yes, you still have to wear a jacket here. And there's arguments to both school of thought, but then you start looking at the economics and market share of how much things have shifted. And sometimes that becomes that kind of answers the questions for people. But then other people say, like, we're not here to make money. We're here to be an institution. And those are all things that you have to decide on what you want to unlearn. So I would probably say the biggest thing we have to unlearn as an industry is that change management is this huge elongated process, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I love everything that you said. In the beginning, when you were talking about previous generations or current generation, rather, and what they need to unlearn, it reminded me of how people used to talk about, well, back in my day, we did this, or well, I had to do it coming up, so now you have to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's, yeah, I think you answered my question in a much better way than I asked it. So thank you.
Well, you remember when everybody was talking about millennials entering the workforce and we were trash. And I'm a Zennial, I'm an old millennial. And we were, just people didn't know how to work with us. And we required all of this, immediate feedback. We were the trophy generation. And we just needed pats on the back. And and what are we saying now? Fast forward, they're soft, right? Snowflake generation, whatever, condescending verbiage you want to use to articulate or express how you feel about this current generation's workforce. The reality is that it is the current generational workforce. So as somebody used to say, hey, get with it or get up to it. So, and I mean, I understand that's the flex that we're coming to them with. Like, you need to learn how to bend and flex into this culture, but also there's a lot more ways to make money, right? Like, my late father was born 1938, my mother 1948, boomers and a traditionalist. Like, there were just limited opportunities, but now students are like, I'm gonna start the internet. Like, if you look at the most frequently chosen job or aspirational job is like, what do you call social media influencer?
Yeah.
And I may laugh at that because I only have 5,000 followers on IG. Follow me at Hip Hop Hotel Broker, help me fix that. But if people are legitimately making money, 5 figures a month, I mean, who's the joke? Who the joke's on who?
Right.
Exactly.
And we're competing with entrepreneurship. And again, everybody can't be an entrepreneur, but we're competing with that. And 8 and 9-year-olds that have YouTube channels that have retired their parents. And it's a very different world. So being understanding that, some people, and that's what we also had to wrestle with workforce shifts post-COVID, right? Like, just the increase in human capital. Like, these labor margins look very differently now. I think those are all the things that we have to unlearn. I know that was a little bit of a verbal vomit, but you're stuck with it.
Yeah. I tell you what, back in my day, when I started in the hotel business, you did a night audit with a pencil. You did it with a calculator, and you had a long Dale sales report, and you figured it out. And the room keys were hard keys, with room numbers on them.
Yeah,
in my day, and you wore a vest and a shirt and a tie if you worked the front desk, and it was pressed, and your hair looked good. And you better not come with a beard or a shaved head. And you better be there 15 minutes before your shift starts too.
Facts.
Right. That's the way it was, and now. Right, we had to make adjustments, right? And I think a lot of it in the hotel business, we had when we had Josh Graham on a couple of shows ago, he was talking about technology, right? And how it used to be that if you went to a hotel, that was the strongest technology, right? It was stronger than what you had at home. But now it's not that way, and so the industry has had to do things to keep up with what we have outside of the house, right? What we had in the house. Okay, but that's just my rant for today. I get a rant per show.
And there's an old head that probably says, like, hey, back in my day, like, we chiseled night audit, right? So we used to walk to my job at the front desk, and then somebody else is like, well, back in my day, we didn't have feet. There's always the struggle Olympics, and everybody's trying to win it. So with the industry changing that way, and all those things talking about unlearning, some of those things we have to unlearn in academia, right?
Right.
So does having this rigid coursework of hospitality and higher education absolutely vital, but there's also universities have now started to, well, some have learned how to specialize in. We provide top tier asset managers. We provide top tier folks for hospitality real estate. We're, and it's been around for a very long time. Culinary schools, like, that's what we do, right? You're coming to CIA, you're coming to J. Wu for culinary. So understanding what your specialty is. So our center is locked in and said that the development of crucial hospitality leadership that understand things through a very unique lens is going to come out of our hospitality center. That is our focus. That is where we're planting our flag.
Right. Now, let me ask you, when do students at Howard, when do they learn about the Center for Hospitality Leadership? And I'm asking it in two veins. One is we talked about before the show. I run a youth racquetball program in Baltimore called Racquetball Revival, and our students, we have some students that are graduating this year, some last year, that are going on to college, right? And I don't know their full college process. I'm just wondering for the next year's graduating class, when they should start looking at not only colleges and universities, but when do they start to find out about things like the Center for Hospitality Leadership at Howard? So when do potential students at Howard find out about it? Is it when they're going through the evaluation process, or is it once they get accepted or once they're on campus? Give us something about the timeline of how they find out about this.
Yeah, great question. So we're working on the amplification of our center, and specifically with a high school approach, and we're talking to some potential strategic partners around that. And what that would look like is there are schools, because we're not, because we don't have a full hospitality program, there are schools where you get the curriculum at a high school level. That is our ideal like applicant, right? You know, if you can make it in through the application process and get accepted into Howard University, you should definitely be looking at the center, right? Because you're going to get a different lens than going to a full hospitality program. You're going to get that traditional business degree or traditional degree in arts and sciences or interior architecture, and you can still be part of the center. Like, you don't have to be part of the School of Business. So we're working on attracting those students in their junior, senior year of high school that know about the center and say, hey, I'm looking for this unique approach. And I love that approach of intersectionality, because some people say, hey, I don't want to be pigeonholed into any industry, right? I want to be able to pivot and diversify, so forth and so on. The second piece is, how do we attract students at Howard once they are, because we might not capture everybody at high school. So once you become a student at the university, we have a lot of programming. A lot of it is currently residing within the School of Business, but moving forward, it's going to be a lot more amplified across other colleges and universities. So what will that potentially look like? Let's work with the School of Arts and Sciences, or School of Engineering, and we can do a panel around what does hotel development look like. We can bring in a hotel construction company, we can bring in a hotel developer or architect, and help unlock these things that students didn't know was a career, right? A lot of students just don't even know that these are, or the general population, even though these are franchisable assets, right? They think that XYZ family company that has their name up there actually physically owns all of these buildings, and that's not always the case. So a lot of it is also helping, and again, because we have that intersectional approaches, helping those students understand what the space is for you. That goes back to the broader, how do we educate and enlighten the student, just the general population. But here with the student population is us inserting ourselves into these other colleges and universities. And while right now our student base is predominantly School of Business, but like I said, we got students from health sciences and from the law school, right? And they're understanding, they're sharing the good word about, hey, there's opportunities, and we're connecting them with people in the industry that have their similar degrees. Right. Like, hey, this person has a JD, and let me connect you to my friend, and he's a JD MBA, all HBCU educated, and listen to all the things that he's done, right, after he did his couple of years at a firm. We're also recognizing and helping them understand what those career paths may look like for them. It may not be as linear as you graduate and doing a management trainee program, because, again, you haven't been programmed for operations. So helping them understand all the opportunities that exist within the hospitality space. I was talking to a communication student that just stumbled into our center, and they didn't put two and two together, right? That they were interning at a contract food service provider doing marketing, but that's hospitality. In their mind, they're just like, oh, it's just XYZ, contract food service provider. So a lot of this is some low-hanging fruit and helping people understand you're already doing the work, right? You're already a part of this. Please come and join the center. And then our center has two levels of membership. One is a 2-year cohort model, where that's a lot more aggressive. We ask students to really lock in, commit to doing 1 year. I'm sorry, 1 summer, at least as a hospitality internship, certifications, and a few other items. And then the other membership is like an associate member. So if you could be a 7th semester, senior, and you kind of find your way to the hospitality center and you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't know about you all. There's still an opportunity for you, right? We can still help connect you to the industry no matter where you are. You may be a little bit too late to get onto the more aggressive program path, but we still want to work with you.
Yeah, this is great. This is great because, again, I'll go back to, in my day, there were 2 options. There was, well, once you're in college, right? It was go to school, get a job, get that degree, and you'll get a job. Don't worry about it. People will hire you because you got a degree, right? Or go to school and get yourself a good government job. Well, where? I don't know. Just get that degree. The government will hire you. Those are the 2 paths I had, right?
Yeah.
Man, had this been available to me? Oh, man.
Yeah.
We may be talking about the Leon Thomas Leadership School. Had something like that been available to me. But anyway, I digress.
It's not too late, brother. Come on, enroll in Howard. We'll get you together.
That's too long a commute. But we'll talk. Maybe we can. Miranda, let's go to you for one more question. Then we're going to have our signature question.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a fun one.
Yeah.
If the center had a theme song reflective of the culture, personality, etc., what would that theme song be?
Oh.
And while you're thinking, Leon, what would your theme song be?
Oh.
What would my theme song would be? Okay, I'll think about that here. Let's see. What would my theme song be?
See, this is going to make everybody request the questions in advance from us.
That's a good one, because there's so many artists that I like, but thematically, yeah. So a good thing.
I actually just asked ChatGPT to look me up and tell me what my theme song should be.
Okay.
And the options are Eye of the Tiger, right? Ain't No Mountain High Enough, and Rise Up by Andra Day.
Do you know that last one?
I do not know that one. Do you know it? Or Omari, you familiar with that one? Rise Up by Andra Day?
I'm not.
I am familiar, but the only reason I'm picking on you is because, remember, you don't know who Wu-Tang is?
I don't know who Wu-Tang is. That's right.
What?
Here we go. I don't.
It's all good. So last I had it. I had one and it just left me.
Sorry.
Okay. Man.
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT.
Yes,
right?
I am interested as to what Chat would say. I am interested as to what ChatGPT would have to say.
All right, here it comes, and it says,
"Oh, I got it. I remembered."
Okay.
So for me, I would probably say the late great Nipsey Hussle had a song called "Hustle and Motivate." And I think that a lot of it has to do, and there's a few things symbolically about that. One, it did come out after he passed away that he was an investor in the Virgin Casino in Las Vegas. Not to mention like the layers of the song. So he samples the Annie beat. It's really, really slowed down. And he said in the interview, like Jay-Z's got that song cleared for any future hip hop artist when he got it cleared. So basically he's acknowledging like the path laid down before him and how he accelerates. So, with us and our in our center, a big piece of it is around that motivational piece, right? And the hustle is like, how are you out there competing? So, recently our students had the privilege to compete, and She Has a Deal, and we actually won first place. We're the first HBCU to compete. So when you start talking about hustle and motivation, that's a very solid, demonstration.
That's amazing. Very big congratulations to your team.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We actually had 2 teams make it to the finals, so we're out here making history, and that's one thing that I think is really unique about what we're doing, and I'm excited to continue to make history.
Right.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Miranda, what's your theme song?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it because it might be too feminist, but I would probably go with "The Man" by Taylor Swift. I'll send it to you, Leon, so you know that it's about.
Yes, please do. Please send it.
My daughter just aged out of the Taylor Swift phase, so we'll have to. I'll have to dig into that.
You're asking me this in the afternoon, my time, so that would be my answer. If it were the morning, it would be 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton.
I love it. I love it.
Omari, it's now time for our signature. Did we have signature questions when you were on before? I don't think we did.
I don't think so.
Okay, good. It's now time for our 2 signature questions of the show. Okay, there's actually 3. 3 questions. All right.
Doesn't want to redo the video.
Right, we don't want to redo it. All right. So you're in DC, right? Mm-hmm. Not far from right there at Maryland. So this should be a rather yes answer to this one. Have you ever had a Maryland crab cake?
Absolutely.
Do you remember where?
Ooh, the cheap answer is Phillips.
That is the cheap answer.
That is the cheap answer, but I feel like the last one, is it called Lock Bar at the Four Seasons? Whatever the ground level restaurant is at the Four Seasons.
In downtown center. What do they call it now?
Downtown Baltimore.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you had a crab cake. Okay.
Yeah. Or I think that's Harbor East.
Harbor East. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason he asked this is because if you had answered anywhere other than within Maryland, then he would just cancel you.
It was pre-show with one of our guests, and we started talking about crab cake, and I said, "Where'd you have your crab cake?" He goes, "I was at a barbecue place in Kansas." Like, shut up! That's not a Maryland crab cake. Shut up! In fact, you can't even come on the show. Get out of here. All right, here's our next one. Have you ever had bean pie?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and my brothers from the Nation of Islam would always be selling it. They started dropping them off at my house direct. I would be able to get that in my final call. It tastes, for those of you, it sounds funny, but for those of you who have not experienced it, if you had it, blind taste test, it's extremely similar to sweet potato pie.
Thank you very much.
And it's made with I believe a navy bean. And the thought process behind that is that the navy bean holds a lot of things, if not almost all the things that are essential to sustain someone. So,
preach, brother. Go ahead. Preach. Tell her. Yeah.
I'll do the knowledge a little bit. But
yes.
So that's the background. But if you look at the ingredients, it's the butter, the sugar, the nutmeg, the allspice, the seasonings. So it's very similar to a sweet potato pie. Same consistency. If somebody gave it to you 90%, you wouldn't know.
Yes.
All right. I have pie crust. I have all the ingredients, and I have a can of navy beans. I am going to attempt this today.
Okay. Let me know how that works out.
I don't know how well it's going to work out, but I'm going to attempt it.
Okay.
And this has grown. This bean pie thing. If you can go to YouTube and search Bean Pie Anthem.
Okay.
Bean Pie Anthem. You will see there's a song on there about bean pie conversations on this show.
Yeah.
And there's actually another video that talks about the background of it. You can go there and see it. And here, just so that you don't have to, we're going to just show you 15 seconds. We're going to play 15 seconds of the Bean Pie song. Here we go.
What advice does your 20-year-old self need to know? That's the signature question that ends the show. Crab cakes come up before we say goodbye, and we also ask, have you ever had bean pie? Bean pie rocks, bean pie rules. So good, you'll take it to school. Bean pie.
There we go. There we go. Bean Pie Anthem. It's right here. All because of checking it right on.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to close us out with a non-food related, well, I don't think it'll be food related. It could be. Omari, if you could go back in time and give your 20-year-old self one piece of advice, affirmation, pearl of wisdom, anything, what would it be?
It would, if I can't go back in time and give myself lottery numbers,
Right.
it would definitely be an affirmation to stay on the right path, that I am on the right path, to continue to stay motivated going down that path, and just keep doing what I'm doing. Because a lot of times when you're in the thick of it, you do have those questions. You wonder, is this the right pursuit? Is this the right path? Is this going to yield what I'm looking for? And sometimes you're engaged in things that what seems to be fruitless exercises. But a lot of times we're planting seeds for things we're planting seeds for trees we're not going to enjoy the shade or the fruit of. So, but letting your 20-year-old self know that hey, sow those seeds and continue to cultivate them, and it'll be worth it.
I love that. That may be one of my favorite answers. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. You are always one of my favorite people to chat with. So thank you for coming on the show to do it.
Indeed. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you for being with us. And I have to say this, that Miranda, back 5-6 years ago, whenever it was when we first met, it came through an event that you hosted on Zoom. Yeah. And Omari, you were one of the guest speakers at that event.
Panelist, yes.
Yeah, you were one of the speakers at that event. Yeah. And so me viewing that event actually led me to contact Miranda, right? Because I remember, meeting you at NABHood, and then getting an invitation, and you were a panelist on that event. And so that's kind of you were there. You're like almost a connection piece to us meeting.
Oh, that's incredible, brother. No, that's good. That's part of the legacy I hope to leave behind is connecting folks.
Yeah.
Oh, love it. I love it.
We also want you to come to Baltimore. I'll contact you offline. I'll send you an email to get you over to Baltimore. We'll have a crab cake together. But bring your daughter. I want you and her to participate in our racquetball program. Get you on the court and play racquetball with our racquetball program called Racquetball Revival. So we'll do that, and we'll get you on camera, and her and anyone else playing on camera, and then we'll have a racquetball tournament, get Miranda to come up and all of that stuff. We'll make it, but that's later.
I love it. I love it.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, y'all. Take care. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So Miranda, Mari's doing some great things there at Howard.
I know, right? And such a wealth of wisdom.
Yes. Yeah, looking forward to hearing continued great outcomes there with the students, graduates of Howard University. And I hope everyone, takes advantage of that. And even when you're considering, where should I go to college, right? that's a great thing that they have going on there. And so you can
Absolutely.
still get your degree in finance or whatever else, but understand how this can be connected to hotel business and hospitality. Wow, this is great. I love it. I love it. Folks, if you would like to be a guest on our show, or you know someone that should be a guest on our show, you can contact me. Send me an email. That's leon@theleonthomasgroup.com. Miranda, how do they get in touch with you?
You can just Google me. Not because I'm important, but because there's not another Miranda Kitterlin Lynch out there.
There it is. So that's how you do it. You can listen to our show also on your favorite podcast platform. Our shows are out there. You can listen to them as you're driving, running, working out, multitasking, even sitting there watching a ball game, whatever. You can
Baking bean
do that.
pies.
Or cooking bean pies. Yes. You could do that. I take some video of that. We'd like to air that on the next show. Yes. That we didn't ask you to record yourself making macaroni and cheese. We did not. That was not a request, but we will have that request. Making that request now, please, for bean pie. We'd love to.
You got
love
it.
to see it. Right on. Everyone, thank you for watching, checking in. Thank you to our producer, Orrin Stewart with the Leon Thomas Group. Orrin, thank you for always doing a great job. Thanks for being here. Everyone, we'll see you next time on Checking In. Take care.